Thank you. 안녕하세요. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, especially a pleasure to be here with Mike Honda. And as you know, Mike Honda was the author of this legislation. I was his co-author, trying to get it through committee 10 years ago. And Judy Chu has always spoke out and supported this effort as well. And so today I think it is a time to reflect. A time to reflect also because we had a great victory before the Supreme Court of the United States, who refused to hear the attempts to remove the Glendale Peace statue that stands in commemoration of the comfort women and what they went through. And I will just quickly tell you that 10 years ago, when this bill came up, we did organize a hearing at that time to allow the grandmothers to speak, to have them tell us about their personal experiences. And that was so powerful before the Foreign Affairs Committee. And the arguments they made so persuasive that when the Korean American community, when you did this effort to get this bill up before the House of Representatives, it passed unanimously. And I do want to recognize Phyllis Kim and the Washington Coalition for Comfort Women Issues and the Korean American Forum of California and all the other organizations that have been engaged in this effort to make sure that justice is done. I also wanted to share with you that we had an ongoing effort as we brought grandmothers out to California. And in cities like Fullerton, my own city that passed a resolution, we had them testify there as well before the community. Our goal has been to educate across the United States so that the next generation of Americans really understand what happened during the occupation and then what happened during the Second World War. I would tell you that as a longtime friend of the Korean American community, I've been going for 20 years to Korea. I used to head the parliamentary exchange before I became chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. And I think that it was very important that this Congress continue to speak out on the injustice. And so, when the mayor of Osaka made those vile remarks suggesting that comfort women were volunteers, I immediately took to the House floor to denounce those hateful words, that hateful speech, in the most visible way possible. And when the government of Japan released a report questioning the Kono statement, I addressed that matter directly, sitting side by side with the Korean ambassador to the United States. Many of you may also know that I made a very personal visit to the Glendale Peace Memorial in order to say goodbye to a grandmother who passed away. And I made this visit on the same day that House Resolution 121 was introduced in the House of Representatives. And after my visit to the Peace Memorial, I carried the unified message of all Korean Americans and of the opinion of the Congress of the United States to Tokyo, and demanded that the government of Japan disavow the hurtful statements made about comfort women and World War II. So I would just make the observation that it is much harder to get tomorrow right if we get yesterday wrong. That's why on issues like Tokto Island, I've spoken out and explained that Tokto Island is Korean, and that it was taken during the occupation by Japan. But after the occupation was over, it is time for Japan to recognize the honest history of what happened. We're not going to get the future right if we get the past wrong, and that's why it's important we all speak out, and that's why I will continue to press for full accounting of the atrocities committed during the occupation, during the colonization, and then during the Second World War. And here's to our family members that were part of that struggle, in terms of defeating fascism, whether it was Imperial Japan or in Europe. My father served with General Patton in the Second World War and took photographs at Dachau when they liberated that concentration camp. And those photos are in the Museum of Tolerance today. I will share with you that this is a very personal thing to me. And I have talked to the families, and I commend all of you for your ongoing efforts. Thank you very much.